At the end of my keynote, I got like a standing ovation. It was nuts. The guy comes up to me, I'll never forget him. He goes, dude, he was the managing partner. He goes, I've been doing this 40 years. He goes, kid, you have something really special. Some people are successful. Those successful people, some of them don't want to share. And the ones that want to share, they just don't know how to share it. He goes, you have all three, dude. He goes, I want to pay you every month to come in and coach my financial advisors. I get in the car and I call my wife because she knows me better than anybody. She's like, I've been telling you, you have a gift. This is your calling. You need to do this. You need to be coaching people. And I'm like, I have this imposter syndrome. I don't know if I can do it. I would look at my calendar, Wally, and none of it fulfilled me except the coaching sessions I had with my LOs. I would get so happy to do that. And so, dude, we bought our home in Miami, December 31st, almost 2 years ago. Valentina was born 8 days later. We launched Go 2 days later. And it's been the last 2 years, the best 2 years of my life, man.
Hey guys, Wally Olivieri. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. You know, I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show. 24/7 Mindset Community. Thank you so much for listening. Today is a special day. And I'm not saying others have not been special, but what's special about our guest today is somebody I've actually never met. Somebody I've followed on social, somebody I've looked up to, somebody I've really impressed with what he and his business partner be able to build with Go Coaching. And at the end of the day, it's when you find special people in this industry, if it's mortgage, if it's wealth advisor, it's really special to find people that have an abundance mindset and an abundance heart. And to me, you know, the goal today with Amir Syed is that here's somebody I've never met, but I feel absolutely close to, like we've been friends for 20 years. So welcome to the show, Amir.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you for that amazing introduction, bud. That's the power of social media, man, is it connects people before they're officially connected. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for social. We got to really build a relationship through there. So I'm pumped to be here, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. I love hearing the passion in your voice when you speak, you teach. And just the biggest thing what I want the kind of viewers to understand is, you know, we're both in the same space. We're both in the similar spaces. And, you know, you would think there'd be a competition, but, you know, I brought Amir on the show today to spotlight him, and I want to drive all the attention to him. So, Amir, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. And you know, Wally, that speaks to your testament, man. You know, it's interesting. The funny thing about social media, since I really wanted to just get uncomfortable and build my personal brand almost exactly 2 years to the date, is that I've seen the ugly side of it, and it's really brought to light who are the people that might be jealous of me, you know, and some of their limited interactions or the way they interact. And I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. You, on the other hand, like, I'm like, wow, like this guy is like, wow, what a great heart guy. Like he shares my stuff, he engages, he celebrates me, sent me his book. Like, dude, that's the bright side of social because, you know, I had my perceptions of you. I'm like ultra successful guy, polished, like probably has no idea who I am. So here we are, dude. It's really amazing manifestations of people's true feelings about things, you know, through social. So, bro, right back at you, man.
Well, I just think it's one of these things that our relationship with who we are inside, I've learned that it's not measured with other people's outsides. And I think once I realized, and once I learned that do not compare your insides to somebody else's outsides, my self-worth and self-acceptance and my self-image comes from who I feel that I am. It doesn't necessarily come from who other people. So I don't really look for acceptance or approval. Obviously, I'm still human. Obviously, I still have feelings, but I feel it's like I knew that I needed to have an abundance heart for you to welcome me to your world. So for me, when you find a giver and you give to a giver, you realize if they're a giver back to you. And I think what I've enjoyed about our friendship and is you're a giver and I'm a giver. And when you find two people that are givers, it's completely a different relationship and chemistry. So that's the biggest thing there.
That was so well said. So well said. And it might be culturally who we are, how we grew up having Middle Eastern background. Middle Eastern people are just very hospitable in nature, is who we are. So dude, you and I were talking a little bit before this and asking me like, hey, where do we start? And I felt it very compelling to tell my short story because it's so near and dear to me. I was born in Iran. And in 1979, look, a lot of people know this, but the Shah of Iran, the last monarch king, was overthrown, and Iran went backwards like 500 years. It became super religious, and from 1980 to 1988, Iran and Iraq had a really bad war. Over 1 million people died in that war. So I was born in 1981, and we left in 1985. By we, it was my mom and dad. I remember like bombs going off, like viscerally, and so my dad and mom were like, we got to get out of here. So they got up, left. We moved to London for a few months. It was very expensive. Then we moved to San Francisco. My mom couldn't get a job at McDonald's. My dad couldn't get a job. We had a distant friend in Chicago. So we settled here, left entire family back home. And so, English was my second language. It was very traumatizing, very difficult. And I remember these things. And my dad was a shoe salesman making $3.75 an hour. Fighting high school kids for hours, and my mom couldn't get a job, and we lived in this small 500 square foot apartment with one bed. I remember it was tough, man, like the pressures and stress. My parents had a really contentious relationship at that time. But they made it through, and I moved 4 times before the age of 12. And so, as I'm in coaching now, and I always reverted back to that one milestone moment when I was in 6th grade. I got into a lot of trouble. And so I got into a really bad fight, Wally. And when I came home, we lived in this apartment building, and the kid on the 3rd floor who was Assyrian, Charlie Orham, shout out to him. I'm still friends with him till this day. My mom saw me with this black eye, and she was really worried. And Charlie told his mom that Amir shouldn't go to the school dance tonight because the kids he got into a fight with, they're going to do something really bad to him. She dialed down to the 1st floor, talked to my mom, says, you should not send Amir. Later on, I found out those kids brought weapons to the dance. They were going to do something really bad to me, dude. And they were looking for me. They were showing the backpack with the weapons inside of it. And my mom told my dad, the only way this kid's going to change is if we send him to military school or we go to a better neighborhood where kids are not fighting. And so they moved me immediately, and I moved again. And so I went to this really affluent neighborhood in the north suburbs of Chicago. I went from wearing baggy Gerbeau pants and riding, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you wrote about. I remember.
And riding a Dino Air, wearing cross colors. And these kids are wearing Abercrombie and Fitch, pushing a Schwinn, going to like Aspen for spring break. And I had never left Chicago, right? So it was highly just intimidating for me to adapt. It was very just traumatizing, but I was a good athlete. I acclimated. But Wally, all these kids, I had gotten to a fight almost every day. And this school I went to, I saw one fight in 4 years. These kids were like doing chemistry assignments, like all these things. So I got involved. I grew up Muslim, but my parents weren't really pious. Met this Armenian kid, said, dude, you're a great basketball player. You should come to my church league. And I'm like, dude, church? I'm not, don't really brainwash me, bro. What are you talking about? I'm not going to church. He's like, dude, just trust me. So I went, I assimilated with him because of the cultural part. His parents took me in. He brought me to church. I met the pastor. So I became Christian at 16. And, my life changed, dude. My parents were like, what the heck is going on with this kid? And I'm like, Mom, I'm going to church. They're like, listen, we love you, son. We're not religious, but if whatever is happening to you, keep going. So what that story tells is, dude, I barely graduated high school. I had a very influential man graduate me. I did not graduate college, but every moment in my life, I had these crazy things that have happened, and people have come in my path that have just accelerated my life. And so I share that because I'm not supposed to be here. I tell everybody, like, it's crazy that I'm here because the odds were so stacked against me, but I've had amazing people in my life because I've always been a happy giver kid. I've always been abundant minded. My parents are like that, and people like me. And so they open so many doors for me. And this is another example of that, dude. So I'll tell a little bit how I got in the mortgage business if we have time a little bit later, because that's a hilarious story. But dude, that story is near and dear to me because it's a reflection of my struggles my parents had. No aunts, no uncles, no cousins, no siblings. It was very rough, dude. But I'm here now. So
Well, I think what's really impressive of that is a couple things. One, your parents didn't judge you, number one, and they supported you through that. I'm sure it wasn't easy for them to do, but they did the right thing, and it's a testament to your family's last name and the character that you guys have, for sure. That's number one.
thank you.
Number two, I think it's really impressive that you opened up your heart and and you welcomed Christ in your heart, and you welcomed the abilities of just unconditional love. And I've got a similar story, which I'm sitting here inside. I'm kind of confused how we both don't know this about each other, but I accepted Christ when I was 14, and my parents found out when I was 16. And but we'll need to jump on a call and kind of share
Okay.
that more with you, of like what happened in my youth, because like it's comical to hear the 110% of similarities between our youth, but from a dude that I've never met face to face. So, but today's not about me, it's about you. So tell us a little bit about your journey. And like, okay, so you barely graduated high school, you got out. When did you get in the mortgage business?
So yeah, I can't wait for that, Wally. So mortgage business. I barely graduated high school. I really didn't, but I get out. I go. My dad had a small business. He had a small used car dealership near Wrigley Field in Chicago. Your dad was a car dealer too?
No, but I graduated high school. I sold cars for 6 months. I got a mortgage when I was 19. I'm like, who am I talking to right
Wally, we're looking in the mirror, bro.
now? Who am I talking to?
This is crazy, bro. My distant, long lost brother, man. But I was working every Saturday in high school. I worked every summer. I was a porter first, then I became a runner. I would go get checks from banks for the finance cars. I would run credit reports. I learned how to sell cars. My dad bought some apartment buildings, so I vacuumed the hallways. I started to screen tenants, put ads on Craigslist. So I had this incredible second education, man. And my dad gave me so much confidence as a young man. I love to work. So I'm like, I hate school, but everyone's going to college. So I went to school. I'll never forget, dude, like the third month, this Turkish kid comes in with a full suit and tie, another Middle Eastern kid, right? So I assimilated with him. I'm like, hey, man, why are you wearing a suit? He goes, dude, he's like, I have a part-time job as an account executive at a World Savings Bank. If you remember that bank back in the day, right? Option arm.
Yeah.
I say, dude, what did you just say? Wait, what? World Savings Bank. There's a World Bank savings. He's like, no. So he broke it down. He goes, and I said, well, why are you wearing a suit? He goes, I'm working part-time. I go, man, I hate school. I would love to learn what you do. He goes, dude, you would kill it in the mortgage business. And I had no idea what that meant. I lived at home till I was 27, man. I'm a good Persian boy, working, coming home. And so I'll never forget, Wally, I was so scared to leave the family business. I couldn't sleep the night before I was going to tell my dad. So every Sunday we would have breakfast as a family, Persian breakfast. I'd be reading the paper. I'm sweating because I'm like, I got to tell my dad. I said, Dad, can I ask you something? He goes, what is it, son? I said, I'm really thinking about leaving the family business because I want to spread my wings. I want to work for somebody else. I have this opportunity. What do you think? Wally, I'll never forget that feeling. I felt like this guy is going to just like be really upset. He's like, son, that's a great idea. You can't work for me forever. You need to see what it's like to work for somebody else. That's going to be a big part of your leadership. I'm like, so you say it's okay? He goes, yes. So I called my boy. I'm like, hey, can you get me on? He's like, I got you. He goes, there's a new brokerage. These guys left. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear great.
He's like, these guys left AmeriQuest. If you remember, they're the top LOs. He goes, they need a telemarketer. I said, dude, I don't want to be a telemarketer. He goes, trust me. So I called the owner. I said, hey, Mr. Taylor, Ed introduced us. Can I please come in for an interview? He goes, kid, I heard you're a really good kid. He goes, come on by. I said, what time? He goes, Friday at 1. I said, Friday at 1. I had read this quote, the way to get into a man's heart is through his belly. I said, how about I bring you some lunch on Friday? He said, no, don't do that. I said, no, I insist. He goes, I don't need that. I go, okay. I hang up. I'm like, I need to go buy a suit. I need to buy some shoes. I'm going to go buy this guy some food. So I said, Dad, can I borrow some money? He says, I'll tell you what, go to all the buildings. Here's the key. All the coins from the laundry machines, you can take them, go to the bank, get the money, go buy yourself a suit. Well, I got $310. I bought the most tacky DKNY suit. I bought these cheap ass shoes. I went to Nuna Kebab, a famous Persian restaurant. I picked up 6 platters of shish kebab, typed in MapQuest. I go to his office. I'm like, I'm gonna kill it. I open the door. I think it's gonna be some big company. I see 6 dudes on the phone. I'm like, okay. I'm like, is Mr. Taylor here? They're like, let me get him. Comes out. I feed everybody. They go crazy. I get the job and I'm walking out. And I said, Kevin's like, you didn't even ask what you're going to get paid. I said, man, you know what? I'm so hungry to just get out of school and just work. I'm living at home. I have no bills. My mom does my laundry. She makes me food every night. Just give me a shot. He goes, you're in. They gave me public records and they said, here's all the people with an 8% mortgage rate. This is 2003. You're going to call them all. Here's the script. You're going to get a manual 1003 completed and get their social security number over the phone. I said, Kevin, these people have no idea I'm calling. You want me to get their social? He goes, yes. So he would tape $20 bills to this big pipeline board. I became the #1 telemarketer as this company grew. Until this day, I told Dave Savage this. I go, I'm telling you, I want to give in Scriptapalooza because I got so good at cold calling. I started seeing all my names on this pipeline board. And I'm like, KT, these are all my apps. Why are these guys going crazy? He goes, kid, I've never seen someone as good as you telemarketing. I said, what is this guy making right now? He goes, he made 40 last month. I said, he made 40 last year? He said, no, he made 40 last month. I said, he made 4,000 last month, so 50,000 a year. He goes, dude, $40,000 in 1 month. I went home. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm quitting college. If you just let me do this for 1 year and show you I can do it, you have to trust me that school is not for me. You know, Wally, 2003, 2004, 2005 was raining money back then. I had no checking account. I would get my paychecks, give it to my mom. She would deposit it, and I would go back to work. And I just went through the ranks, dude. And it was the greatest skill I ever learned was cold calling people, bro. That was my come up.
Well, I think, what's really impressive about that is what I really hope the viewers pick up is you believed in yourself. And what, one of my favorite teammates ever hired was he said to me, I wasn't sure about hiring him. And he said that I said, if I don't hire you today, what do you plan on doing? And he said, listen, I'll work for you for free for 90 days, three months in a row. And if you see the value in me after that 3 months, then, you can pay me whatever you feel I'm worth. And he was like a 23-year-old kid right out of college. Wow. But I think what was really impressive about some people's character like yours is that you believe in yourself so much that it doesn't matter what the details are. You're so focused on the outcome of your goals that the destination just simply takes care of itself.
Yeah. That's so well said, man. That's so
Thank
well
you.
said. Yeah. A lot of that, dude, came from it just honestly, I got to give it to my dad, man. He really just gave me that confidence, and I think the second thing, Wally, is just having that second job, that second education growing up. Like I had the privilege, dude, of having my dad have a small business. Now I didn't squander that. I worked. I was there every Saturday, every summer, but that type of experience just gave me the confidence, and I didn't have financial pressure, dude. I want to be very clear. Like I lived at home. I made that sacrifice. I didn't go to college, but I was able to just do the work without having to pay bills. I just had a $500 car payment,
Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit. And usually when I interview top producers and influential people like yourself, there's usually a pivotal year. There's usually a year that clicks. There's usually a year that you you marry your new identity and you just take off. What year do you feel that was for you? And tell us a little bit about it.
Wow, what a great question, man. So for me, I'm 41. I'll be 42 in May.
Bragger. I'm
Okay,
45.
dang, okay. We're about to hit our prime, baby. You know,
I don't know. 50's right around the corner, bro, and I'm not good with it.
and then 50 will be our prime, you know?
Uh-huh.
So, dude, it was, man, what a great question. It happened throughout 2019. So my
Okay.
wife and I, I've made it public now, but we went through a really tough journey of infertility. We had 6 miscarriages, 6 rounds of IVF. Then we had to go the surrogacy route. And the surrogate we had in Iowa, we lost our son 6 months in, less than a 0.1% chance. And so it was like a very tough journey, bro, to have our first child, Valentina, through a surrogate in Minnesota. So I was crushing in personal production, but I had this issues, with just like shame and guilt that I couldn't, produce, right? To have a child. My wife and I were going through a lot at the time. And so thank God, everything's good now. But I just, I hit 100 million I hit almost 100 million in 2018, hit 100 million in 2019, then just, took off during the COVID years, just crushed it. My branch touched almost $1 billion every year with only 8 LOs.
Wow.
And so my mom was a teacher. I used to be at the core training for 6 years. I was a standout student and I just loved teaching and coaching. I got invited to speak in front of a bunch of financial advisors. There was
Okay.
like 50 of them in the room, Wally. At the end of my keynote, I got like a standing ovation. It was nuts. And I'm like, the heck? The guy comes up to me. I'll never forget him. He goes, dude, he was the managing partner. He goes, I've been doing this 40 years. He goes, kid, he goes, you have something really special. He goes, he goes, some people are successful. Those successful people, some of them don't want to share. And the ones that want to share, they just don't know how to share it. He goes, you have all 3, dude. He goes, I want to pay you every month to come in and coach my financial advisors. Well, I'm a loan officer. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You don't need to pay me. Just refer me business, right? And I said, well, how much would you pay me? And he's like, you just tell me. And I had just seen a Gary Vee video of him throwing some random number out and then not saying anything and seeing if someone accepted. So I threw this crazy random number out. He goes, no problem. Just send me the wiring instructions. We'll send it to you every month. And I get in the car and I call my wife because she knows me better than anybody. She's like, I've been telling you, you have a gift. Like this is your calling. You need to do this. You need to be like coaching people. And I'm like, I have this imposter syndrome. I don't know if I can do it. So I started doing all these loans and I'm like, I would look at my calendar, Wally, and none of it fulfilled me except the coaching sessions I had with my LOs. I would get so happy to do that. My client consultations, I had it down to a science. I'm like, I'm not happy. So I called up my friend Sean Panazia, number 1 LO in the country, does $1 billion a year. And I said, hey, I'm at a crossroads. I either want to go and do $1 billion a year because I think I can do it. Belief, right, Wally?
Yeah.
And I said, you're my friend. You'll show me. But I'm not happy. I said, and he goes, it's your ego talking. Your ego wants to do the $1 billion. And I'm like, you're right. And he says, what do you love? I go, I love the coaching. And so, dude, we bought our home in Miami, December 31st, almost 2 years ago. Valentina was born 8 days later. We launched Go 2 days later. And it's been the last 2 years, the best 2 years of my life, man, because I feel so fulfilled, dude, when I get off these calls with these students. I don't feel fulfilled when I talk to clients. I hate to say it, man. Like, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. So it was those 2 moments, dude. And, I'm very grateful to Todd Sklima as well. He's a dear mentor of mine till this day. He encouraged me. He gave me wings. He goes, bud, you should do it. And that's all I needed to hear, So here I am, man, with you.
So I guess one thing that I want you to lead the community on is like, how did you turn off the self-doubt from your subconscious that I'm sure you heard of? How, like, you can have like Obama come down. You can have the Pope come down. You can have everybody in the mom come down and tell you that this is your future. You can have God come down and tell you. But I think as us as humans, we have this self doubt. We've got this like whisper over here that's no, you can't do it, or no, you're not worthy, or no, you're an immigrant, or no, no, you're this, or no, you're that. Like, how did you have that fear, ignore the fear, and move forward?
Uh, well, I still have that fear. I still have that self doubt. I've just known how to tame it, right? And I found a lot of consolation knowing that all human beings have this, that I wasn't alone. That was very nourishing for me. I'll tell you, I've learned we all have a calling. There's a job, career, and a calling. How do you know it's a calling? Because it keeps calling you, whatever that might be, right? And I felt everywhere I went, I just kept hearing it from people. Dude, you should do this. You should do this. You should do this. And so that really just gassed me up and said, okay, well, I should do it, right? And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do what I believe my heart is telling me to do, and I'm just going to trust it. And so you just take a leap, and you have people around you, Wally, that really believe in you, that encourage you to do it, and you just make the leap, man. I don't know how else to say it, but that fear and doubt never goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're 1,000% right. And I look at my past and I look at my future, and there's one common denominator that I've accepted failure as part of the journey. I've welcomed failure. I think what I've learned in success is the more you sooner realize what is not the right combination, or the more that you sooner realize what failure looks like, the more you can identify what success looks like. And then the more you can do the successful things that reach your goals. And when you look at like people that are struggling today, and the coaching clients that I have, I'm sure your coaching clients also, is they've got like this image of themselves or what they should be. And I read a quote that really helped me understand that self-belief. And it was, I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. And once you
Mm.
eliminate that, once you eliminate the identity that I have as a person through your eyes, you take back your power. You build up your self-confidence. And once I was able to have my identity through my own lenses, not somebody else's lenses, I got clarity in who I am and who I'm not. So was there a moment for you that you experienced that?
Man, what a powerful, I love that quote. I think I have I have this ability to channel anger
Okay.
towards pushing myself to do things. And part of my upbringing, I got picked on a lot, you know, and so I've always wanted to prove people wrong. And so the biggest impetus of why I launched it was this anger to a coach I had in the past, which I'm definitely not going to mention the name. It's not right, but a lot of people know who that person is. And so, I was like, I'm going to show you. And so for me, I find elements in my life that I can harness to push myself to do things. And I think everyone has to dig down and figure out what that is for them. That could be their family. That could be fake. For me, it's like, you said I can't do it. I'm going to show you. Right. And I get this righteous anger.
Mhm.
And so now I don't have that anger anymore, because that same person I've heard say he's very proud of me. And so I thank him for that. And now I'm free. And now I'll find the next person
Yeah.
that I'll create some sort of competition with to show, So I've been paralyzed in my past because of my upbringing as second class, or, thinking of myself that I'm not good enough to be successful, right? Because I didn't come from much, you understand? And eliminating that, Wally, that no, I can be. I have choices. I can go get equipped. And so I've harnessed that to be able to do what I want to do, to prove to myself and to others that I can do what I need to do.
Yeah. Now I feel it's when I see a successful man like you, It is, my gut tells me I'd be impressed by you if I got to know you, hopefully get to know you more. But I think I'd be super duper crazy impressed by your wife. And I feel like most spouses don't get enough credit for it. And I'll tell you, like, I mean, I'd be very lucky if you ever met my wife, and especially my two sons. You know, they're 110% my motivation. And whenever I get scared, which happens a lot, whenever I get self doubt, one thing I think of is if my two sons, which now are 18 and 16, if they were standing, so the older one, the 18-year-old, his name is Braden. We call him Braden the Brave. And the 16-year-old is Alexander. So it's Alexander the Great. And that's their nicknames. And so if Braden and Alex, if I ever get scared and I self doubt myself and I just talk myself out of an opportunity, I imagine they're sitting right there next to me and they're watching me.
Wow.
And when I learned that both my sons now, like I said, they're teenagers or young men with, like, you know, mustaches and stuff, and that they stopped doing what I would tell them to do probably when they were 13, 14 years old. And they started doing what they watched me do. So every day when I come home, I'm sharing with them my failures for that day and how I overcame those failures. I want them to understand that dad might be super successful at X, but I fail every single day, but I learn from those failures. And to me, I've just learned if I focus on my two sons watching me anytime in a situation, I get like this absolute boost of confidence because I am not going to let them down. I'd rather you chop off my right hand than ever like them look at their father and say, my dad was a coward, or my dad backed down, or my dad wasn't brave enough. And when that motivation, like, so you're using it, if someone says you can't do something, what I've learned in my stage of my career, my life, is I'm using it as my two sons are watching and they do what I say, they do what I do, not what I say. I need to step up.
Dude, thank you for blessing me with that, man. You've dropped some gems here, dude. But as a dad, as my daughter's about to turn 2, that I really needed to hear that. You're right, man. Like they'll listen to what you do, but they're really just watching.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about Go. I mean, I think the biggest thing I want all the loan officers in the community to understand is I've got a mass amount of abundance. I don't see, you know, unfortunately, some speakers or authors or trainers would see as Go as a competition. And like what I want everybody to understand is I'm here to empower you. I'm here to empower Go. But tell us, what is Go and how is it making a difference in the mortgage world?
You know, Wally, thank you for that, man. Like in spirit of, you know, your two sons and what you just shared with me, it's all about what we do, you know? And so me just being here is a direct manifestation of your character. You're a coach, I'm a coach, right? And you're having me on your podcast. Like, and so I put a post up on Facebook about a month ago of all the Hall of Fame loan officer coaches, you know, and it was like, it went crazy. And I'm like, dude, like I got to give them their flowers, man. Like they're like, imagine like you're like a basketball player and you don't like say Jordan's the greatest or like Bill Russell, like that, or Kobe. Like, it's like, dude, like, how could you not say that? Like, you know what I mean? Like they came before you. Like, so I look at like, you know, I give those guys their flowers as well because they have done amazing things like the Todd Duncans and the Tim Brahims and, you know, Todd Screamers, like, you know, Carl White's, like, dude. So you and I are the future, bro. You know, like we're gonna, you know, we're doing what we need to do, man. And so we have to collaborate. And I started giving out all this free content 2 years ago, right? And I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna get really uncomfortable. And I'm just going to give it all away every day. Where I'm going to just tactically be like, here's what you do here. Here's what you do here. Here's what you do here. And it's literally changed my life, man, because the people I've met, it just goes to show two things, Wally. The power of social media, if you leverage it as business media, right? And you're putting really good educational content out to help your avatar. And then the doors that will open there. So Go Coaching, it started off as growth only coaching. And then, you know, we abbreviated it to Go with the exclamation point. Exclamation point is really important for me. because it's just it's enthusiasm, right? It's who I am. Like, it's big. And so, dude, we started 23 months ago. We is my co-founder, Justin. Justin got in the mortgage business. I got him in the mortgage business 16 years ago when he was 22. He's been loyal to me. He's my top producer in my division. 38 years old, multi-$100 million producer. And so we launched this, and I come from the core training, which is, it was like the staple of coaching. It's got high coaching, high accountability. I took a lot of the fundamentals because I'm a very big believer that motivation without education is just discouragement. Education without accountability is just delayed disappointment. So I said, okay, we're player coaches, we're credible. We're going to lead by example, and we're going to educate and empower our members, but we're going to hold them accountable. Right. And then we brought in the modern aspect. So Mo Isma, who does all the video content for me, Renee Rodriguez, he's really good friends with Neil Holm at Ford Academy, Egyptian, right? My Middle Eastern brother, right? So he and I partnered, and I'm like, dude, I believe there's 4 pillars: marketing, sales, ops, and finance. Marketing, let's be seen before we're known, liked, and trusted. Help me equip our community with what they need to get their brand out, because great marketing makes sales easier. I can take the traditional stuff, right, which is voice to voice, break bread. We can make that a lot easier with great marketing. Great ops drives sales. I will coach my top producers how to hire their staff members. And then finances, how they can basically keep a profit. So this all came together. We took a lot of the things that we learned, as active practicing loan officers, and we said, okay, there's nothing out there that brings the two together, that brings the modern element with sheer, specificity. Here's how you create video content. Here's how you create short form content. I went out and I hired the top LinkedIn copywriters. And I learned how to create a hook, a trailer, takeaways, call to action, how to frame things, right? Because people don't realize, well, you do. It's like, I'm a walking LLC. How I illustrate my brain visually is just as important how I communicate with a realtor and discover, negotiate, and close. Well, how I accentuate my knowledge for my audience textually is also a skill. Copywriting is one of the most hottest in-demand skills right now. So how can I take this, create copywriting, create visual content, and then give it to our community so it makes their sales easier? We were able to bring that all together. And it's been a wild ride, man. And we have some amazing things in the works going for next year. And so the community has grown from literally, I think about our first coaching call. It was just so rinky dinky, man. I'm a big believer of build the airplane in the air. Just do and then learn, man. Sorry to drop an F-bomb, Like, I used to be such an analysis paralysis, perfection procrastination guy. Like, I'm like, yo, we're just going to let the thing roll and we'll fix it as it goes on. Not if you build it, they will come. Sell it and then build it, So doing it in 23 months, we're almost at 500, members. It's not perfect. We make mistakes every day. I love what you said about the failures, but we're having a lot of fun, man. And in one of the toughest years in 2023, I'm feeling very blessed to be one of many leaders leading from the front and just giving people positive news every single day through the content and making an impact on their lives in a tough time. So it's been a wild journey, man.
Well, I just feel it's amazing. And, I'd love to, maybe if you're open to it, I'd love to kind of break down like my vision, what we're building for 24/7, kind of share it with you. We do some other call or so, but I'd love to learn if there's a lane that we can collaborate together. And
Dude.
I feel it's one of these things that I had a call yesterday with Dave Savage, really good buddy of mine. He wrote the foreword for my book, and he's been a great mentor and a great friend. And we were talking about, and I was telling him, I was interviewing you the next day, and we talked about the synergies out there, and what is my niche, and when you look at like mortgage, so being a $200 million producer, you've got to be like really great at a lot of things, right? And
Right.
But if I look at what am I really great at, that's a niche in the space. And have you ever read the book Blue Ocean?
No. I've heard of
No,
it.
phenomenal book. It's just really simple. So there's red oceans and there's blue oceans. A red ocean is where there's a lot of competition, right?
Right.
So I don't do one-on-one coaching, but if I got in the one-on-one coaching space, you would crush me. That would be a red ocean. You're already in that space. My learning curve would be too long. But to me, I do really great with post closing, which is our client concierge process, and also our 6-lane highway. So out of the $200 million that we close per year per team, $81 million of that $200 million year to date has come from CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, and insurance. Hence the 6-lane highway with realtors in your database. And when you look at it like collaborations, and I was talking to Savage about it yesterday, and it was, what am I really passionate about that fills my cup? And it's how to teach a loan officer how to take an earned income industry and create it into a passive income industry where you're making a very blessed income off your business, but like you said earlier in the call, you're in the process of reading my book. It's how to build a business that pays you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but you only have to work in it 24 hours a week, 7 months a year. And that whole mindset came through is like, I golf 3-4 times a week. So if you golf 3-4 times a week, there's only really 24 hours left to work in the week. I take 20 weeks of vacation a year, not because I want to be a bum, but I need to focus on my family for 10 weeks a year where we disconnect and it's 100% invested in each other as a family. So we take 10 weeks of vacations as a family a year. I've got to reinvest back in my wife. We're about to be empty nesters. So we focus on 5 weeks a year, focusing on husband and wife time, vacations, traveling, Europe, whatever it is. And then I love to golf and I love to travel golfing. So I spend 5 weeks a year vacationing outside, and it's usually some golf trip somewhere, Europe or Scotland or Ireland or whatever. And so if you're gone for 20 weeks a year, there's only 7 months left in the year to work. So that's where 24/7 came from. It's, you building a business that pays you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while you only have to work in it if you choose to, 24 hours a week, 7 months a year. And I try to explain to loan officers, specifically loan officers right now, that you don't have to do $200 million if you don't want to do $200 million a year. But if you want to do $20 million a year, allow me to show you how to do $20 million a year. You only have to work 10 hours a week.
Mm.
And I feel like I threw away so many years of just having pride of being the hardest working person in the room. I threw away so many years of sacrificing time with my family, I missed more dinners than I ever made. But for why? For a $1 million W-2, was it the success? Was it the ego? And then you realize at the end of the day, I learned how to do business. I learned how to stop doing business the best that I can do it. And I learned how to start doing business the best way it could be done. And that's where efficiency comes into play. So, when I look at from the outside view, and I love to look from the inside view about Go, what difference are you guys making in the mortgage world? Like, what difference are you making?
Well, you're a pioneer in your vision and your credibility around that, because you're right. You had said something at the onset. In order to be a successful mortgage lender, you're really a successful entrepreneur.
Mm.
You're learning how to recruit realtors, recruit production staff. You're learning how to build a culture with your team. You're learning how to sell and close. You're learning how to scale operations. You're learning how to handle money. Like it is a entrepreneurship business to the core, right? And it's the thinking I have with people is like, hey, it's not a real business if it stops when you're not there. Like it's a game. Work really hard to get to the point where I can leave for 2 weeks and my business still operates without me.
Yeah.
And there's a way to do that. Like even when I think about the owners of like mortgage companies, I always challenge loan officers. I'm like, hey, is the owner of your company at work today? They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, he's at work. Like, I have no idea. I'm like, exactly. Right. Like the business still runs if the owner's not there. You got to start thinking like a CEO. How can I build this to where like it can run without me? Because dude, people just want a loan, man. They don't need a loan they don't care about the name. Like, am I just going to get good service? Am I going to get a loan? Competitive rates, competitive fees. And it needs visionaries like you and me to basically explain this to them, right? To help them think bigger. And I think at Shout out to Dave Savage, by the way. Great dude. And I was telling you, I'm 50 pages into your book, and your
Yeah.
endorsement at the beginning was incredible, man. I'm like, damn, this guy has got some like people in here, man. But dude, it's funny. The last 2 weeks, I got 2 text messages from people talking about you. And they said, hey,
No way, really?
yeah, it's crazy that you brought that up. They said, listen to what both of them said, bro. They said, do you know Wally, LBRE, you guys should figure out a way. And I'm like, I know of him. I'm actually going on this podcast. They're like, dude, what a small world. Like, there is so many similarities. You guys should talk about collaborating somehow. And you just said it. Like, I'm telling you, man, God is doing some things, and so it's crazy that we're talking. So we'll talk offline, bro, and
Yeah.
see what's up.
Well, I think it's, if you, again, grab my book is, page 6 is exactly what you said. It's, I started when I was 19 years old. So in my 20s, I focused on being rookie of the year. And then in my 30s, I focused on being the star quarterback. Well, you got to grow leadership to be the star quarterback, right? It can't be about you. It has to be more about the team. Then in my 40s, I focused on being the head coach. If you're the head coach, you can't throw yourself the ball. You can't run. You can't be on the end zone, right? You got to stay on the sidelines with your clipboard, but you're empowering leaders. It's a great John Maxwell quote that, you don't want to be a leader of followers. You want to be a leader of leaders. And then when you look at being in the owner quadrant, this reminds me of, obviously, I'm sure you probably know Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
So from like 2016 to like 2018, he actually coached me. And I got a chance to spend a lot of time with him. And it was one of these things that what was really impressive about him is how quickly he understood about the cash flow quadrant. And that's where I give him a lot of credit in the book about teaching me how to build a cash flow quadrant, but in mortgage, going from rookie of the year to star quarterback to head coach to owner, and the different lenses you've got to look through to be able to accomplish that. And as long as you keep evolving, you keep understanding it's that journey that you're going on, and your identity of yourself keeps evolving, you'll keep exceeding your expectations, which is exactly what, when I think of Go, that's exactly what I think of.
Yeah, dude, thank you. I mean, it's crazy. My entry to personal development was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
No way.
Yeah, that was the first book I ever read, and I couldn't put it down. I was on a plane with my family going on vacation, and I was like 20, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was an amazing book. And then I read Darren Hardy's Compound Effect, and then I just took off. I just got addicted, right? These are like the fundamental books. Do it, Go. It's very much what we do. So how we think about the pillars at Go is we have a foundations community. These are LOs that maybe have not closed 50 loans. They just have poor sales management where they're at. They're lost. They just need like basic linguistics of selling. We also have a lot of other LOs that are in there for the creative side of things that are doing big production. But our level 2 accelerator, these are LOs that generally speaking, they want to get to 100 units in a year. They may not have an assistant just yet. They've closed some loans, but they need more sequencing and more effectiveness in how they go about things, right?
Yeah.
We want a little more process, not so much personality. Level 3 elite is really what you preach, Wally. It's the loan officers that have done 100 units or more a year. They have 1 or 2 assistants. They just don't know where to put these assistants exactly, how they can process engineer a lot better, right? How they can actually scale better, because getting loans is not hard at this point. It's, I need to be better in my personal life and have a little more harmony.
Yeah.
Our level 4 peak, this is with Richard Milligan, the founder of 4C Recruiting. Level 4 peak is he coaches alongside me how people can now really multiply and recruit loan officers, right? And retain loan officers, a lot of the producing and non-producing managers. And then Apex, level 5, is all our paid player coaches. Now you get paid. You've hit all 4. You're ready now to synthesize your information by coaching others in the community. And so that genealogy, right, is very aligned with where you have niched down. You're like the scholar, in my opinion, of like, hey, this is how you can scale. And let me show you, where we're more like, like sequentially as we go through,
Well, I think that's also why we should definitely have a conversation about collaborating and partnering possibly up, is because like I teach about what I enjoy. I teach about what I live. Earlier in the call, you talked about what like fills your cup, your fulfillment. I don't, and this is me being transparent, honest. I don't get much joy by saying, hey, here's how you get over call reluctance. This is how you talk to a realtor for the first time. This is how you get for your first loan. This is how you look through a 1003. That doesn't get me joy. What gets me like joy is when I find someone that has all like the potential, but doesn't know where the pieces go. And it's just like, I get so much excitement and fulfillment by helping. Okay, let's move this piece over here. Here's how you'll support it with accountability. Move this piece over here. Here's how you'll support it with technology. Move this piece over here. This is what leverage you need to have. Now, here are the processes and models and systems that you'd be able to have to reach these goals and these accomplishments. Like, I love, love, love systems. I absolutely just love systems so much. And when I can help someone that has all the raw talent, but gets them organized and gets them away from being a shotgun to being a laser, it gets me up super early in the morning. I'm really excited about it.
That's your calling, dude.
Yeah.
Right? That's literally what you've been tapped on the shoulder figuratively to impact our industry is how can one at a specific stage in their career get outside credible counsel from someone in a very poignant matter around scaling. And that's the beauty of our industry. You've been called and appointed to do that, man.
Awesome, brother. Well, all right. So we're wrapping up the show here, last like 2 minutes, but I want to give you the last words. So what I want to share with everyone is there's the biggest takeaway I want you to have today is from the listener's point of view is if you open up your heart and you open up your mind to others and don't see them as competition. Like my goal today was to learn from Amir. My goal today was never to see him as a threat. It was never to see him as a competitor. God just positions us and positions people in our world to bless us and help us get to that next level. Like he's hopefully going to help me get to that next level. And maybe I can add value back to him. You've got to keep positioning yourself in a way that you're just open-hearted, open-minded, and just the abundance of opportunities flow at you. I look at the last 10 years of my life and how going from, 10 years ago is doing $36 million in loans, working, 80 hours a week to doing over $200 million in loans in a year and being in a residual income stream from my team. It's the ability to be able to welcome coaching and not take it as criticism. So Amir is just an amazing, intelligently brilliant person. And if you've got the opportunity to be coached by him, to be coached by his platform, to be in his private Facebook community, I highly, highly encourage it. But Amir, what are some last words you want to share?
Well, that was a really kind of you, Wally, man. You're going to make me tear up, bro. That was, I don't think of myself that all. I always have this chip on my shoulder that I have to, live up to, what I believe is my potential. And so I always keep this crazy dichotomy of like, can I do this where I can do anything, And so hearing that, my love language is words of affirmation, man. So thank you very much for those words.
Another thing we have in common.
I was telling my wife yesterday, I'm like, why can't you just be words of affirmation? Do you have to be quality time? Like I'm the cheapest, easiest thing. You tell me something nice, I'll do anything for you. I gotta spend time with you. We were just joking around, but man, my last thoughts, Wally, are first of all, dude, I feel just happy right now, man, being here with you, dude, and what a great exemplary leader you are, bro. And I can't wait to finish your book. And I would just say, people will open doors for you behind closed doors. Be good with people, right? I know, when my name comes up behind most closed doors, right? It's good things that are said and opportunities are opening up for me because I'm a good person. I do good things. I fill my heart with good things, and I work the room in good energy, and people want other people to win. And in every situation I show up, I'm the leader. I know I have to show up and lead. I have to extend my hand out to say hello to people and give them my warmth, no matter what the preconceived notions are of competition and within our industry. And people will feel that genuinity. And then when my name comes up, you never know where that door will open. So my message to people is be good with people, give, and opportunities will open for you behind closed doors.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for that words of wisdom, and we'll end the show. But if someone wants to get a hold of you or join Go Coaching, what do you feel the best approach is?
Yeah, thank you, Wally. I think just Instagram, at Amir Syed. If you guys are on IG, most of you guys are. Just hit me there, DM me. I'll follow you back, and you can learn more about Go. It's gocoaching.io is the new site that's going to launch. But for all your listeners, guys, please read Wally's book. I think it's important to fill your mind up with successful people that are ahead of you that are giving this free information. That's the biggest shortcut to life is people. And if there's anything I can do for the community, if you guys need the advice, follow me. And I give everything away for free. I'm here to give. And when I give you, you give me. So I'm grateful to be connected with you potentially in the future.
Awesome. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay. Thank you, Wally.
So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.